Great, and great to have you all here today. This is an exciting day for basketball, for women's basketball. I'm very pleased to welcome our coach, Coach McCarthy. Welcome to Fresno State. But he also comes with a family. So Jenna, nice to have you here. And then Donovan, and then of course Aurora is also here with us. So great to have you here as well. I'm sure you'll become a full-on staple of the Red Wave as well. And of course Donovan has the height, so watch out for him for the future. So I really want to extend my gratitude to AD Classy for everything he did to bring on Coach McCarthy. Thank you for everything you've done, and thank you for also to the committee for all they did to identify such an incredibly high quality coach for us. Really, there are two pillars that really stand out for me. One of them, of course, is his passion for basketball, women's basketball. But the other one, of course, is the development, the athlete development, that student component, that a future professional that's on the court, that's being developed into a leader. I think that really stands out for me as well. We sought a proven winner, and here you have him. I'll go over a little bit of his track so that you can understand truly the wealth and the impressive background that he has coming to us. In his 13 seasons as head coach at the University of Alaska, Anchorage, he amassed an outstanding record of 309 wins and only 67 losses. That's really impressive. Overall, his career as head coaching record stands at 323 wins, with 80 losses across 14 seasons, a really impressive record. Under his leadership, the Seawolves achieved the third best winning percentage and fourth most total victories in NCAA Division II over the past 10 years. And they reached the NCAA national title game in 2016, a true testament to his ability to build and lead high-performing teams. So beyond the wins and losses, Coach McCarthy has a proven ability to develop student athletes, like I said before. During his tenure, he coached 6 All-Americans, 3 GNAC Players of the Year, and 22 first or second team All-GNAC honorees. Really impressive record as well. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to AD Classy, go over the rest of the stuff, and go Dogs.
Thank you, President Jimenez Sandoval. Before I get into my remarks, I think I'd be remiss if I didn't go into and thank Coach Jamie White and her staff for the past 11 years. She gave her heart to this place, and we're grateful for the impact that she had on our student athletes. So I'd like to just thank them, and let's give them a round of applause, please. One of the many things that makes this job really special is obviously the proud tradition we have here at Fresno State in women's basketball. We win championships, we've been to the NCAA tournament 7 times, and we have a passionate fan base that shows up. Fresno State women's basketball matters in the Valley, and today we take that next step to raising the bar. When we launched this process, I wasn't just looking for a coach. I was looking for a leader, a culture driver, and a winner. Someone who understands what it takes to build something special and has the integrity to do it the right way. And from the very beginning, Ryan McCarthy stood out. I'll never forget the interview on our first dinner together. We were sitting around, and he was immediately a type of guy that you knew you wanted to lead our program. He was passionate about women's basketball, obviously had the X's and O's and strategy down pat, and very intense on how much he wanted to win. I just couldn't believe the intensity, the connection, and the belief. And then as we went to order, got even better because his wife Jenna was with us, and she ordered tri-tip in her first meal in Fresno. And I knew right away this was going to work out for us in a very good way. And even though he was intense, there was something about him like I just needed to click. And not to embarrass the two of you, but it was pretty impressive. As he was intense about basketball, I was like, I need to see the soft side on this guy. He's coaching women, for crying out loud. As soon as we leave Yosemite Ranch, he immediately holds his wife's hand. And I'm like, okay, this guy, he has a soft side. He's very empathetic, and he cares about people. And it was from that point on, I'm like, this guy is going to be the right person to lead us. The Valley's going to love not just Coach McCarthy, but his family. Another thing that was really important was style of play. And I don't want to, we haven't talked about this yet, so I don't want to call it what you're going to call your system of play here. But if you look at his past, his style of play was called mayhem. And it's really exciting for the fans to watch. It's exciting for the girls to play. It's pressure, in-your-face defense at all times. And I think that's important. I want to have coaches here that we're hard to prepare for. And as we go into the new Pac-12, we want a system here that the fans are going to enjoy and that the other coaches are going to fear. And that's what we have in him. And then obviously the bottom line, let's be clear, he's a winner. Over 300 wins, 8 NCAA tournaments, and a national title game appearance. And all from a place where I guess your nearest road trip was probably a 6-hour flight. Talking about a competitive disadvantage, that's pretty darn impressive. I don't care what level it is. And this guy does more with less, just like we do it here in the Valley. There's a lot of ties that brought him back to the Valley here. And when I made the calls after we knew that Ryan was going to be the guy, I called former players. I called people he worked with. And we have to do a very significant background check. No one had anything negative to say about the guy. All I kept hearing about is that his former players come back and have their own section at the Seawolf games cheering on the team, all the weddings that he attended from former players and student athletes. And I'm getting texts, and our staff's getting texts nonstop. Congratulations on hiring Ryan McCarthy. You guys have the real deal, and we believe so ourselves. He's a blue-collar kid. He grew up fighting for everything he's earned. He reminded me a lot during the interview process for Matt Entz and the football coach. These are guys that are just have the it factor. They're determined to win, and they're going to win and do whatever it takes to win within reason and within the rules. And that's what we want here. Fresno State's always been a place that's won based on the people, not necessarily bells and whistles. When we do our job and start getting them the resources they need to win, then watch out. But these are the type of people that win without those types of things. They win based on the people, and that's always going to be the recipe for success here. He knows what he wants. He has a plan. He has a plan, and he's going to build a great women's basketball program. And the other piece I like, he's going to be a culture guy, not just for this team, but for this athletic department. I want people here at Fresno State that make us all better, hold us accountable. That's very important. Have that championship attitude, that championship pedigree. This hire makes us all better today, not just the women's basketball program, but the entire athletic department and the entire university. Because at Fresno State, we don't just participate, we compete for championships in everything we do. We're joining the Pac-12, and we're doing it with Valley pride. We're doing it with that chip on our shoulder, and we have the belief that we can outwork anyone and get it done. Now we got a coach that knows exactly how to do that, and then some. So let me welcome Jenna, Donovan, Aurora, and of course, Coach McCarthy to the Bulldog family. I'll tell you this right now, you better buy your tickets because it's going to be a tough ticket in this place. And you guys can sit there and laugh all you want. People are going to embrace this style. People are going to love it. And women's basketball at Fresno State is and will always will be on the map. So let's give his wife and children a great round of applause and welcome Coach McCarthy. Right.
Well, first of all, I'm super excited to be here. I think everybody's got the 7 degrees to Kevin Bacon on their connection to Fresno or the Valley. I definitely have that when I started paying attention in around the year 2000. I was a junior in high school, and my favorite team growing up was the UNLV Running Rebs. And I fell in love with the way that they played. Coach Tarkanian is somebody that I have modeled my complete career after. And so when he went to Fresno State, then I really started paying attention to this institution, and in particular their basketball team. So as a young kid growing up, obviously I was born in Alaska, and I fell in love with the game there because, frankly, you have to probably play indoor sports there. And basketball, we had the Great Alaska Shootout. And I've always had the underdog mentality because it's a Division II institution that hosts a Division I tournament. And I'm very proud to say that we are the only Division II in the history of women's basketball to win a Division I tournament, and we've done it multiple times. That's where I fell in love with it. And then my family moved down to Central Oregon in a place called Prineville, Oregon. Our mascot was, I went to Crook County High School, and our mascot was the Cowboys. Before football practice, we'd have to move irrigation pipe. And, you know, I grew up having to pay for summer ball working in a lumber mill. And so the blue-collar mentality of the Valley has really intrigued me. It's something that I feel that, you know, right away, this is a place that I know that I can connect with people because of my background and because of the high level of respect that I have for everyone working in the Valley. So with that being said, I'm excited to implement our defense and the way that we play offensively, the way that we recruit junior college kids, high school kids. Will always have a place in this program, and like Tark did, we want to make sure and own our own backyard first. And so I'm excited to implement the amoeba defense, which if anybody is a true fan of Jerry Tarkanian, you know about the amoeba defense, and I feel like that kind of cracked the code for us for a couple of years when we were playing Division I schools. I would be remiss if I did not thank President Jimenez Sandoval and Garrett for believing in me. This is a full circle moment for me because the first recruit to ever believe in me was out of Turlock. And so that was the very first kid that sat down in my living room and believed in the vision that I had for her and for our program. And then that led down the street to Modesto, at Modesto Christian when Coach Rob Spencer was there. There is a lot of talent here in the Valley, and that is definitely an area you will see me in all the gyms in the Valley because we definitely need to develop those relationships and keep those going in order to be successful. I want to also thank the hiring committee, the entire administration that was in on that, giving me the time of day, the Pacheco family for giving us a place to stay and letting my daughter hang out in the swimming pool, which has been really great. And my family, my wife Jenna, who's been by my side through thick and thin, and came up to Alaska from Florida, giving up an entire
Girl.
That's the reaction.
We can get anybody to Fresno, trust me. So she gave up a coaching career at a top 25 Division I program in Florida Gulf Coast to come be with me, and sacrificed everything to come move up to Alaska. So I'm eternally thankful for that. My kids, Donovan and Aurora, for being here, saying a little prayer for me out in the car before we walked in. My basketball family, for everybody who's here right now, you flew in from all over the country, made a long drive up to be here for me, and that means a lot to me. But that's how tight that my circle is, and we're really excited to get them implemented as well. Alaska, the state of Alaska, giving me my first opportunity to be a head coach, to be able to come home, to be able to bring back the Great Alaska Shootout on the women's side. My athletic directors, I had 5 of them since I was there. The current chancellor and former governor, Sean Parnell, for making it just really flexible for me to be able to go and take state from a fundraising standpoint and really turn Alaska into our own Fresno state up there. And this just seems like the natural move. And then lastly, the Valley. You believed in me before this was ever a thing for me, and that was my first foothold in getting down into the state of California, and that since then has stretched down into the Bay Area, which is another area I think we can own from a recruiting standpoint as well. And then lastly, every single lady that has ever suited up for me and played a minute of mayhem and believing in us, and the student athlete will always be at the center focus for us. This is who we serve. We want to create a culture where they serve each other, where they love each other, because the same things win at every level. That culture piece will win at every single level, whether it's middle school all the way up to professional. The tightest, closest teams win, and that attracts talent. Kids these days, they can see through all of that stuff, and that's one of the reasons not only were we able to win at a high level in Alaska, we were able to sustain that over a decade. And I hope to bring that here, especially after I had the the benefits meeting. 10 years is pretty good. So that's a little bit about me. From my coaching standpoint, our style of play, obviously Garrett said it's mayhem. We will play differently than anyone in this league. And definitely as we move into the Pac-12, that's something that's very exciting. But we will pressure defensively. I think that it's very similar to what you might see in the football in terms of taking people out of their stuff is probably more important than guarding them. And that's definitely what we want to do is impose our will on the defensive end and play at such a pace offensively that we are putting pressure on the other team and using our depth, being able to play a deep bench, which I think will be exciting for recruits as well. I think that as we get out into the community, those things are going to be really important as well. We built the largest camps in the state of Alaska. I know that the Gonzaga men's basketball program got their program going by owning the Spokane Valley and getting out there, and that's definitely something that we want to do from a basketball camp standpoint because the dream starts young. We want little girls, as they grow up and they start learning the game of basketball, their dream to become a Fresno State Bulldog. And that's exactly what we intend to do. But we're going to need everybody's help. This isn't just up to me, and it's not up to our staff or the student athletes that we sign. We're in a new day of age. This is professional sports tied to scholastics, and we're going to need the financial backing to be able to land some of the student athletes that we are seeking. And so that will be an area that we invest first, but we will definitely look to see the payoff after those investments. But yeah, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to build future leaders here at Fresno State. I'm excited for my family to be here as well, my basketball family. And I'm telling you, the 2 days that we've been down here, it feels like we're on vacation. It's nice to wake up to the sun in the morning, see palm trees out my window, and I can't wait to get into the gym and start working with our student athletes.
That's great.
Thank you.
Phenomenal.
Phil Donati with ESPN Fresno over here, just leading it off. You had such a decorated career up there in Anchorage, and why was the time now for you to go seek up a job here at Fresno State? Why did you feel like this was the time for you to go look at this opportunity?
I did have other options earlier on in my career, and I always said I would never leave unless I truly believed we could win, and we could win at the level that we were winning. I also got to a point where my son's, in high school and moving down, getting closer to family is important for me. Those were kind of the main things for me, but make no mistake, I thought the closest thing to Anchorage, Alaska in terms of the culture and the kind of people that we get to be around was the Valley. And that was since day one. I think it's why I got along with those coaches early on because we saw eye to eye on a lot of things. So that's the main reason I came here.
As far as the potential for this program, where it can go, how far do you see this potential of the program and what it can do with its foot stamp and how it can be here at Fresno State in your mind?
Well, I definitely think, always the goal is to be, still playing in March, and that's definitely something I think, especially at this kind of in-between mid-major level, trying to make a jump up into, the Pac-12. I think there's a lot of potential. I think there's a lot of untapped potential, to be quite honest, especially in the fundraising piece of this and the way that we can engage the community. So those are the things that get me really excited and fired up about this program is that there is a lot of athletic interest in this area, and I also think that, everybody from the top down is pulling the rope in the same direction in terms of how important athletics is to this university.
For those who aren't aware, can you kind of expand some more on your style of play and what we're going to kind of be used to on the floor this year?
Yeah, we want to play fast. I mean, I know every coach says that. Every coach up here I think that you could have an interview with will say, yeah, we want to play really fast. We want to score lots of points. And you got to have the players to be able to do that at the end of the day. But we're going to recruit athletes, and we're going to work really hard to develop them. That was an area that it was, I know needed here was time and skill development, and that's what we're going to do. But defensively, we are going to play a high-pressure defensive system where we can mix up our looks defensively between man and like our version of amoeba, and then mix up our presses as well. Pressing at the Division I level, I know has a stigma, but we were beating Division I teams doing this, and so I'm excited to do that and be held accountable to that as well.
Welcome to Fresno, Coach. Gabe Camarino, Fox 26 Sports. You're going to have 5 seniors on next year's Anchorage team. Are they going to come with you to Fresno State? How much carryover is going to be at Fresno State from what you did at Alaska?
I'm not sure what I'm allowed to say on that from an NCAA standpoint. So, yeah, Stephanie, I don't want to get in trouble. But yeah, I think we would be excited to see some of the ladies potentially, if that were to happen, that know the system and the culture of what we're trying to do.
And just talking about translating from the Division II level to Division I, how do you go about doing that?
Yeah, I don't think, listen, I don't think we can just take what we were doing at the Division II level and then automatically it's going to come here. I know that there's, different things that we'll need to adjust and, get ready for this night in and night out. It's one thing to beat a Division I team on one night, but it's quite another when you're going against that every single night, especially once you get into league play. But I just think that, it's something that we've prepared for. I think there's a lot of things, not only stylistically from a recruiting standpoint, from a media standpoint. I mean, if we were in Anchorage, I was not nervous for this at all, but this is about ×5 of what we'd see in Anchorage. So I think there's a lot of things as we get going here that, I definitely, our mantra the whole time has been stay hungry and stay humble. And so I do not think that I have all the answers for, moving up to the Division I level. There will be some lessons that I have to learn the hard way, and I totally accept that. But I also know that we're going to work really hard as we go along this, and I won't have to learn a lesson twice. I know that.
You know for sure from the Alaska Daily News that you're going to bring your staff aboard, including your wife on your coaching staff. So how does having that core of top assistants and yourself help make this transition easier?
Well, okay, all right. Okay. Yeah, I'm really excited about that. I think that, if my assistants were to get hired, it would be they had opportunities to stay, and they believe in what we're doing. And I think when those things happen, special things can happen. And my associate head coach, I said this to the Anchorage Daily News, that no one can mention my name in success without hers. And she's been incredibly loyal to me from day one, where we started our program in Anchorage. I inherited a program with 7 players, and my first recruiting class was 3 intramural players, so we could go 5-on-5 in practice. So she was there through all of that, and she's potentially going to be here as well. So I'm excited.
That's great. So many interesting questions. I was in the Alaska Daily News, that's why I asked. My last question is just how do you sell yourself to a recruit? There's a lot of transfers leaving Fresno State. How do you sell maybe some of the Bulldogs currently in the portal that they should stay and play mayhem?
I think, just be really honest with them. I think that's the most important thing when you go for the recruiting process. If I put my daughter in a math class and I knew that she wasn't going to succeed in it, I wouldn't want her in that math class anymore, right? So I think it's the same thing as you go through from an athletics standpoint, is we want to be honest with everyone, and we definitely we have some of those conversations. We're talking to kids in the portal every single day. I think some of that comes down to finances and what we're able to pay to get some of those players. But yeah, I mean, to sign up and come play for me, I think I'm going to hold you to the highest standard, and I'm going to be really honest with you. But you're in college and you get a 4-year window, and you will take your jersey off for the last time. And hopefully when you do that, you can look at yourself in the mirror and say that you reached your full potential. Mm-hmm. And that's definitely what we want of all of our players here. Thanks.
Coach, over here, Alexis Bruno with the Collegiate and Fresno State Focus. Alaska to Fresno, it's kind of a big change. There's also change scholarships instead of having a 16 and 17 player roster? How would you navigate those changes?
To be quite honest with you, I don't think I'd want 16 or 17 on the roster. That's a lot to manage, and 5 players can be on the floor at what time. So I think the 15 with the 15 scholarships is right right where we want to be. I think that's normally around the roster that we would have at UAA and what we're used to managing from that standpoint. But I think that's just an area where a lot of the players transferring right now, it's not solely just because of financial. It comes down to playing time at the end of the day. And so we want to make sure that, of those 15 young ladies that get to be on the team, that we're playing a style where we can keep everybody hungry and give everyone, that hope that they can get on the floor and contribute to winning.
And also a big problem in the St. Mark's Center is fan attendance. How will you get the Red Wave to go into the St. Mark's Center to watch your basketball team?
If they miss the amoeba and they miss the way that Tark used to play, they should come or watch some game film on what it will look like just at a higher level.
Congrats, Coach. Al Scott with Frozen Sports Magazine. Over 90% of the scoring from last year's team has either transferred or graduated. Do you see that as a blessing to build your own type of roster or challenge?
I see it as a reality. I think anytime there's a coaching change, you're going to see a lot of roster turnover. I mean, my team's up at UAA. It happened when I got there, and it's happening when I leave. I think it's no different. And I think that at the end of the day, the players are signing up for a certain style and a certain culture, and that's definitely something that as we kind of bridge that gap a little bit will be really important. But to answer your question more specifically, I see it as an opportunity for us. And for the ladies that stayed, I think it's a very good opportunity for them as well. So we're excited. I'm excited about the recruits that we're talking to right now, and they are going to fit well with the style that we want to play.
And then last question: while you were at Alaska, that's not exactly the easiest place to recruit. How were you able to recruit ladies to build and trust in your vision?
We really seeked out winners and people that were, at least had a heart to serve each other, and where that was important to them. But Alaska was also the land of the second chance, or anyone that had kind of that underdog mentality, and I also think that wins. And so we were able to kind of, find some common ground in some of those areas. And for the really talented ones, everybody wants to be part of a winner. And I think eventually it started getting easier and easier and easier. But just in terms of, how we did that, we built that off the back of owning our backyard, the kids that live in the area that take pride in where they're from, and then mixing that in with transfers that wanted to have an opportunity to do something really special.
Does anyone have any more questions for Coach? All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.